This is your place for all things Grand Rapids Griffins and all things Toledo Walleye. This is the Hockey Town West podcast with your host, Brandon Cook and Nick Harrington.
And welcome back to the Hockey Town West podcast, your source for everything Griffins and Toledo Walleye. I am one of your hosts, Brandon.
I'm your other host, Nick.
And we have a lot to talk about today, man. There was a lot of hockey played this weekend for the Griffins, a lot of fun hockey, a great weekend for us and for all the Red Wings fans listening to other Red Wings podcast coming here. Trust me, the vibe is a lot more positive right now than it is for others. I feel bad for the others because it kind of just feels like what the entirety of last season was for us, for them right now.
Yeah. I was talking to my buddy about it. I don't think I've watched a live Red Wings game since before, while the streak was going on, the winning streak was going on. I had to watch the recorded of the Chicago game. That was the last game that I've actually sat down and watched, but it was a recording. So
I've caught bits and pieces. I have not gotten to watch full games because of my schedule. But all you need to know is, yes, they've lost, but Lucas Raymond is turning out to be everything we thought he would be and more.
It's because you're not watching. That's why.
That's 100% fair. I did see a goal. I saw one. For those that don't know, the running joke is I miss almost all of Lucas's goals when they're scored live, and he's my favorite player on the team right now. So
even while we're in the arena, you've missed them too.
Yep. That's my life. But outside of that, man, happy Monday. This episode's a day late because we needed a day to reset. So this episode will be out on Tuesday, but happy Monday to you, sir. How are you today?
It's definitely a Monday. I disconnected yesterday. I was telling you in the car ride when I dropped you off is I didn't check the Twitter. I didn't check the scores. This weekend was good because Heather went to the game Friday with us. Good vibes. And then Saturday, Travis was up. So it was good vibes, bad seats. But what can you do when the Griffins are on a roll? There's not many places where you could fit five of us in a row together. So, yeah, it was I don't know. I just disconnected. I know you were working hard on the Twitter page, but I disconnected. It was all there for the vibes for me this weekend. So it was good.
Yeah. I mean, it was good. Got to see some family this weekend, and I worked hard on it, but not as hard as we normally would. We definitely took a step back this weekend, but still were able to get out the content we want to get out. And then obviously it'll ramp back up this week with the Griffins' interesting schedule, to say the least. So a lot of people, when they're listening to this tomorrow, there's probably a game going on at the same time in the morning. So, yeah, it's a weird one, but it was a fun weekend. And shout out, I got to give a special shout out here. Griffins Youth Foundation, a foundation that does amazing work for children's hockey in West Michigan. Little cousin was playing a game this weekend. They won their championship. So shout out the Gold Youth Foundation team. That was fun to see, man.
I heard their goalie was overage.
No way. No. He was tiny but fast. The other goalie was big and he was actually really good too. They were all the kids were good, but man, a nice little comeback win. Very Griffins-esque at some points and times, but it was fun. It was really fun. So let's dive into the Griffins weekend. They had the Iowa Wild in town for both Friday and Saturday. And let's jump into Friday's game. And as we headed into this one, there was some changes made to the roster. We had Trenton Bliss called up from Toledo, even though he did not play in this weekend, unfortunately. He was right back down with them on Sunday in Atlanta, in the lineup on Sunday, and scored. So good for him. Yeah, he made. I don't know if he was actually here on Saturday, if I'm being honest, but
he got the Bergie treatment.
He got the Bergie treatment. He got a couple days off in Grand Rapids, so better than Atlanta.
Yeah, I'll change the scenery for him.
Yeah, and then there was a weird one that we still didn't fully understand until about the end of the day on Friday. There where the AHL trade and loan deadline was. Jared McIsaac, who was in Switzerland, was assigned to the Providence Bruins in the AHL. And then we gained a center from Providence, Curtis Hall, who spent some time with Providence, spent some time in the ECHL. He's a center. Some decent numbers, too, honestly. It looks like a guy that's kind of a roster casualty in most places he ends up with. He just doesn't end up getting to squeeze in that lineup unless it's the ECHL. And we kind of thought he might get assigned to Toledo right off the bat, but with Zarnik being in Detroit, he was assigned to Grand Rapids. Did not play Friday, but did make his debut on Saturday. And we'll talk more about him on Saturday. But it's weird because you ask some people, the contracts are still with their affiliated teams. So Curtis Hall still has a Bruins contract and McIsaac still has a Red Wings contract. You ask the intern that wrote the Bruins article that day, it was a trade. I don't know.
Yeah, I didn't check Cap Friendly, but the way it was worded to us is it was an acquisition. So they're going to borrow him. It's a loan. It's just like soccer. If you follow soccer loans, that's how it's was described on Twitter as well. So
Yeah.
It also brought some, like, my first thought was he was going to Toledo based off Trent Bliss coming up here. And then I was like, okay, well, maybe he's up here for a little bit longer because Sarnik's going to be up in Detroit for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And Toledo doesn't really need center depth right now. They needed more defense. But hey, at the same time, if this guy can come in here, win some good faceoffs, and play sound hockey, like, we'll put it this way before we get into Saturday's game, we didn't really notice him negatively or positively. He was there and he didn't make mistakes. So we'll dive into more of that later. But Friday night, Iowa Wild, and we have Dan Watson going for win number 300 as a head coach. And boy, was this a tight game. This was everything you would imagine a well-coached Dan Watson hockey team would put together if the other team's going to be kind of shut down as well. Just excellent defense, great discipline, and made Hutchinson's night really easy, honestly. So the Griffins get a 2-0 win out of this. Hutch gets the shutout. It's a 14-save shutout. He had a nice, relaxing night for the most part. And his counterpart at the other end, Jesper Wallstedt, played extremely well. It's probably the best we've seen him play this season, honestly. And, he only lets that one goal in. The other one was an empty netter. So he stopped 29 of 30. It was a defensive battle all night long, was the best way to describe this game.
Yeah, I mean, I missed the first period, so
a classic Nick moment.
Work ran late, so I came in about 10 minutes into it. So, but like you said, it was I don't want to say it was a defensive battle because, like, we had 31 shots on that game. Like, we were still putting the pressure on them. Iowa only got off 14. Like, that's I think that's the lowest shots we've allowed all season.
It's close to it. I think we've had a couple games like that. And you're right. Maybe defensive battle on both sides isn't the right answer. But at the same time, like, yes, we put up 30 shots, but there wasn't a lot of high danger chances. Wallstedt did have to make some big saves here and there, but it was nothing like 20 of those 30 were dangerous shots, right? It was, we got them on net and we couldn't really get in close. So their defense did play well. But yeah, Wallstedt is the reason they could have won this game. He gave them an opportunity to win, and they could not seal it. And the Griffins just did a great job of clogging up the neutral zone and shutting down a lot of plays before they get in. Run through the Griffins' goals real quick in this one here. They all happened in the third period. At the 16-minute, 40-second mark of that period, Joel Esperance ends up burying a shot he got it from a beautiful pass from Taro Hirose. Like, this was the most Taro Hirose assist I've seen all season. And Luff also got the assist on that. And it was on the freaking power play. Hallelujah. Finally. Like, that whole power play, while we were watching it unfold in front of us, you could feel like one's going in on this one. This is the one that it's going to happen. Their pressure was outstanding.
Yeah. I feel like they did a lot of changes on the power play this weekend, too. Like, they changed a lot of personnel throughout.
The personnel was definitely different, and the movements they were making were definitely different. I liked what I saw. It was like a mix of like the diamond formation where you would use on a penalty kill, but throw the extra guy near the net too. Not right in front of the goalie where I want to see some of those guys, but I don't know. It was very different. It's something I'd never seen them try before. And
which is good. It resulted in a goal for them. So maybe they need to keep this
game winner.
Yeah, maybe they need to keep the strategy up for a little bit and then maybe revert back to the other one once this one's not. If people figure this one out. I don't know, but it was different. I was like, why is Shine was out there for a couple of them power plays over the weekend? So which he's a really good penalty killer, which is like what you said. They had the penalty kill out there, but had the extra guy.
And the lineup was very different for this one too. They did go 11-7 in this game with the call-ups and everything. So it kind of threw us off a little bit with the expectation of getting, our new guy from San Jose, getting Curtis Hall. Like, you're like, okay, we went 11-7. This is confusing, but everybody that played did really well. And there was one more goal as well. Dom Shine did get the empty netter with Hiroshi and Aston Reese assisting on that one. So 2-point game for Hiroshi. Another strong game from Shine as he continues to just be the workhorse that he is. I mean, we noticed, I think it was 2 games ago or 1 game ago, one of the two, that that Shine, Les Bronze, Aston Reese line became the top line on the lineup sheet. And that carried through all weekend. And we mentioned it multiple times that line's been buzzing for the last probably 3 or 4 weeks. They're just perfect plays. The chemistry is great. And they're getting rewarded with ice time finally. And yes, offensively, sometimes they might lack, but at the same time, they grind it out, man. In this game, they're the reason we won. They got the only goals, and they were in the very end of the game. So we pushed it to the limit there, but man, it felt good to get that win. And it was Dan Watson's 300th. So congrats to him. And man, everything just felt good after that game because we were on a little bit of a losing streak there, but the home streak was still going. So that game put us on our 15-game point streak at home, which is one shy of a franchise record going into the Saturday game. It's awesome. Good to see. Diving into a couple guys in this game, right? So we got to talk about obviously Hutch. Even though it was only 14 saves, great performance from him. Looked solid in net. Gets the shutout for him. And it was just kind of it was kind of that makeup for that one game where we blew his shutout in like the last minute of the game this season. Like we got him one, we got him another one. So that was good there. A couple standout players for me though. It's got to be talked about again, man, as he continues to just improve week over week over week. Elmer Soderblom, man. He's playing unreal hockey at the moment for him. Not just like offensively, because obviously he didn't score in this game. He wasn't on the point sheet, but he's throwing the body. He's using his size to create a lot of space that a lot of players can't. And he's showing some speed that I haven't seen much of. We're starting to see him really come to full form.
Yeah, Elmer, I mean, there's a big play that we'll talk about in the next game for Saturday. But Elmer, I mean, he's gaining his confidence. He's playing really well. I mean, it's he's I don't want to say he's limiting his creativity right now because as soon as like one crazy move works, like he's back on it again. But I think he does have a little bit of a shorter leash based off of like the beginning of the season when he was like trying it like 6 times and it wasn't working. I think Dan was just like, dude, find something else, do something else, like try something different. If it doesn't work, try it in. Try something different. So he's playing well. He's throwing the body. He's really, and I think that's the big thing too, is he's developing down here. He's given the space. He's in the right position. He's in the right role to be able to do the things that he needs to do and gain that confidence, gain that development. I think Dan has slotted him in the right places and it's paid off. He's been moving up the lineup last few weeks.
Yeah, and this line, having him with Casper, man, it's honestly just been so much fun for everybody involved. Like it's a match that I didn't know would work, but oh my god, I'm so glad it has.
Yeah, not to take anything away from his other center, but like it has that. I don't know what else has been the difference there. It's just keep feet moving, and I think from the both of them, Casper and Elmer, to be able to make the plays that they're doing.
I mean, his other center for most of the season was Amadeus, right? Like that's the other center. And there's the difference between those two right now is the ability to create space and keep possession. Amadeus is still figuring this league out. He's definitely smaller than everybody else. We know that. And we'll talk about it more for Saturday, but he gets muscled off the puck quite a bit still. And that's a problem, right? He's still growing. He'll figure that out. That's not like it's an end all be all problem. Casper and Elmer's aggression fit so well together, and they both can play extremely physical and create that space. So if you got one guy up against you who's a giant able to create space, and then you've got this other guy who's a complete pest creating space at the same time, keeping both of them contained is pretty difficult, and teams are struggling with that. I love it. I absolutely love it.
And then you put Matt Luff on the right wing on him. Like he's a pest. So like
he's just there to clean up everything else, man.
Yeah,
he's there to fire it at the net.
It works well with the three of them. Like looking back on it too, like then you have Hiroshi on the third line with Lombardi and Mazur. Like that's so like it's juggling, but it's working.
It's working well, especially like to continue to produce without Austin Zarnik, without Jonathan Berggren, in this game, without Simon Edmondson, he did not make a return in this one. To be able to defensively shut down a team like that in this game was incredible. And that's where we got to look to guys like, New Power. Again, another solid defensive game from him. I thought he played extremely well in the couple of games that he's played. Emil Viro, dude. Oh my God. He's really just catching my eye more and more every game. And I think once you see next season, if he can stay healthy, if he can get a full season in, you'll see less of him being sheltered on that third pairing where he's been sheltered all season with Wallander. Once he gets to that second pairing there, I think we're going to finally see what we have in this prospect. And I think Wings fans are going to be surprised because he's not a name that gets tossed around a lot. But there's definitely something there. Defensively, he's sound. Offensively, he's aggressive. His forechecking is fantastic. But in the defensive zone, too, he will push any guy out of the way, no matter what size, and he will stand his ground against anybody. But he doesn't make mistakes while he's doing it. He doesn't take penalties.
Yeah, I'm starting he's been in the lineup a lot more lately with Edmondson up. So they went with the Johansson Tuomisto first line pairing, then Wallander, Rafferty, and then Tuo and New Power. And I saw it again on Friday night. He's in the corner, he's battling the puck, and I'm like, man, he's got that dog in him. Like, he is just not giving up on this play whatsoever. He's gonna get that puck and he's gonna get it turned over. He's gonna keep possession for us. So I want to compare him a little bit to Albert. He's in the good spots, but he's just not as offensively sound as Albert is. You don't see him lining up the stat sheets, but he's just kind of a little bit more quieter on that end of the stat sheet. And I think that's just because of his pairing. He's on the third line defense. If he gets that chance to move up, I think you see him a little bit more scoring, some assists, especially in Waddy's system. And I can't remember where he was at last year. Was he third line again?
We spent a lot of time in Toledo last year, remember?
Yeah.
He spent a good chunk of time there. And if he was in Grand Rapids, it was the third pairing then too.
With Jared McIsaac?
Yeah, it was like Jared McIsaac or Steven Kampfer.
Yeah,
it wasn't with the guys he's with now. And yes, that's obviously going to help him in his development. But at the same time, you're right. Albert is a good comparison, a much more underdeveloped Albert at this time. I think the only weak point in his game is maybe the breakout a little bit sometimes because he'll get too aggressive and lose sight of the puck occasionally. But outside of that, man, he's impressed me a lot in these past few games, and it needed to be addressed. It needed to be called out. The recognition needs to be there. Now, hopefully, after being recognized, he doesn't shit the bed. So
no, it's usually a podcast bump.
Yeah, right. Let's hope so. But another guy we got to talk about from that game, though, who doesn't get a lot of games this year, and it's a guy you said last episode. You're like, yeah, I thought he played well, and I was like, Spezia. This was a good game for him. He
played without a center. So he played real well.
Well, he had a lot of different guys rotating in there in that 11-7 rotation, which did, I think, help him. He ended up pairing up with some guys he would not normally be paired with. But at the same time, super aggressive, great in the neutral zone. A lot of that neutral zone shutdown came from guys like that. That's exactly what we needed to see in this game. And you could tell through this game, the penalties don't reflect it. Iowa only took 2, but they were frustrated in this game because they couldn't get anything going. It's just typical Ben Simon offense. Sorry, I had to get one in there. Anyways,
and defense.
And defense, yeah. So, outside of that, man, it was a good game. It was one of those ones where it's nothing's really happening, but it's not a bad thing. We're just waiting for that powder keg to blow, and it did finally when Les Brown's got that goal and another win. So happy with that.
I think too, if you're watching it and it's 0-0, well. Yeah, I mean, it kind of was. It was 0-0 for a long portion of the game. And it's just there's nothing going on. And it's just they're teeing up and nothing's going on. Or they're just stuck in the neutral zone. We saw a ton of that last year, which was so bad. Or they just run out the clock at the end. This game, I felt it was probably it could have been closer to 6-0. But Jasper stood on his head. He made some great saves. We had 31 shots. It was always on our end of the play. It seemed like the play was down on our end. So I wouldn't say it was a boring game, but it was just very, maybe playoff-esque. I was hoping that they were gonna like they've got this system, they've got it figured out. The way they want to play, let's keep them at a low shot percentage, or low shot attempts, and they go from there. And we didn't see that on Saturday.
Some might say even with Jesper in the net, it could have been 7-0. But
well, we did. We did talk to him quite a bit for that.
We definitely heckled as much as we possibly could towards the end there. So hopefully he was just as rattled as we wanted him to be. That's why he let that one in. But anyways,
speaking of 7,
yeah,
Saturday's game, there were 7 goals.
Oh, I can't math that fast, dude. Come on. But with that, before we jump into the Saturday Griffins game, I want to pivot real quick here because of our timing with our ad break here. Let's talk about what happened in the afternoon on Saturday, because this was a late game for the Griffins. It was a weird 8 o'clock start at home. We don't get many of those because obviously there was the basketball game and everything ahead of time at the arena there. Downtown was just a busy place Saturday. But something happened over in Detroit that day that I want to talk about, because I think this is the perfect timing to fit this in here. And that would be the PWHL takeover in Detroit. So let's dive into this a little bit here, because I know you wanted to bring this up. You want to talk about PWHL. You had something you wanted to hit on this.
I saw the record-breaking attendance. That was what
That's the thing I wanted to talk about the most. The end result of the game, doesn't really matter as much as what we saw showcased in Detroit. Is that Detroit deserves a team. Detroit needs a professional women's hockey league team. It needs to happen. It needs to happen sooner than later. Like, the fans showed up for this one. The environment, from everything we've heard, was fantastic. And it was just really cool to see how many younger children, younger girls that got to go watch these professional women's players play, and how many more little girls they could have inspired to play hockey. Like, that was just what I took away from it the most. Like, that's where I was like, this is so awesome that there is that league now. And the product, man, just keeps getting better and better. These games are exciting. And the fact that you can watch them for free for now, just go on YouTube and watch them when they're live, it's so cool. So if you haven't yet checked it out, please do. Go watch one game and you'll be hooked immediately. I've definitely watched almost every game from this weekend, except for that one because we were doing other things at the time. But yeah, I just want to make sure we called that out.
Yeah, they did it really well too. They marketed it really well. They did it was a double game that day because the Wings played at noon, right?
Yeah, they played at noon that day.
So then right after they, Zamboni did clean the ice, and then they turned around and put the girls on. And from what I saw, the girls, like, the players were interacting with the fans, with all the other sides, like that. And that made a lot of people's days right there. Like, and you don't know who you inspired in that crowd to, now lace it up and go out and skate. So that was huge. I just saw some, what I wanted to address is there was some names being thrown out there for, if Detroit got a team, what would they call it?
Throw it at me. What do you think?
So the one that I saw today, which was super cool. So they were doing a play on the Detroit Vipers, and it was Detroit Venom, but it had like the Cobra, like the skin out. And it was like a little bit more colorful. It was kind of cool. I was like, that's sick. To play on the Vipers.
I'm a big Vipers guy. Like, I love that logo. I love that jersey. That's one I desperately want in my collection at some point in time. And I think that one would be sick. Yeah, it was cool to see them spending time with the fans like that. And like you said, making little girls' days all over the place. That was just fantastic. And it was really cool to see that Detroit going to Pittsburgh the next day was also there for the PWHL takeover in Pittsburgh the next day, which JT Compher's sister plays for PWHL Toronto.
What do you mean Jesse Compher's brother plays for the Wings?
Either way, you want to spin it. So he got to go actually watch one of it. He said it was the first time he's watched his sister at a professional level ever as a fan. He got to sit there and watch that for the game. So that was super cool for him. And I love what the Wings did here, because obviously for the arrival photos, JT had his sister's jersey on, but so did DeBrincat, so did Kane.
Yeah.
A couple of the guys threw it on there. So, like, the full team support around her and that whole thing, I was like, that's cool. I like that a lot. I was hoping those two were both going to just have a day that day and just light up the score sheet. But yeah, again, we won't bring the depression of the Detroit Red Wings into this podcast today.
It's going to get better
soon. Right. It will get better soon. But with that, let's send it over to DraftKings. And then when we come back, we'll dive into Saturday's game against the Iowa Wild again. So, Nick, go read the ad.
We know hockey games move fast, but with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL, you can score faster than anything happening on the ice. This week, new customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. With Patrick Kane, Alex DeBrincat all back and ready from the All-Star game, you've got good choices to make bets on them. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use code THPN. New customers can bet $5 to get $200 instantly in bonus bets. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of Super Bowl 58 with code THPN. The crowd is yours. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467369. In Connecticut, help available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Will Casino and Resort in Kansas, 21 plus, age varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bonus bets expire 168 hours after issuance. cdkng.com/football for eligibility and deposit restrictions, terms, and responsible gaming resources.
And welcome back. All right, now let's dive into the Saturday game. Sorry to throw it for a loop there and throw a different topic in the middle of the episode, but Saturday, an 8 o'clock start for the Griffins at home, which is super weird. Iowa Wild again, and the Griffins could tie a franchise record home point streak in this game, and they do. A 5-2 dominating win against the Wild. It didn't come easy by any means, but at the same time, it was a fun game. There was a lot that happened in this one. So, quick rundown of the stats before we dive into it. In the first period, Dom Shine gets the scoring started in this one. Again, just continuing the hot streak he is on. Gets his 10th of the season with Spezia and Lombardi assisting on that. Iowa does get a goal in the near the end of the first to tie it up there, and then they get the first one of the second period, but then it's all Grand Rapids from there as Cross Hannes gets his 7th of the season. And dude, this kid is starting to light it up again. Like, I'm starting to see the cross that we know. Like, it's slow, but it's coming back more and more. Nick seems uncertain, so we'll dive into that. But at the same time, Cross gets that goal. Simon Edmondson in his game back after injury gets the assist on it, and Tyler Spezia adds the other assist as well. Matt Luff gets his 3rd of the season, assisted from Shine and Hiroshi. Those guys just continuing to get points this weekend. Marco Kasper gets his 11th of the season, assisted by Soderblom. Oh my God, we'll talk about this one probably for the next half hour. And William Vollander gets the other assist on that as well. And then Joel Esperance gets the empty netter. Back-to-back games with goals. Aston Reese and Shine assisting on that. So Shine 3-point night. Holy smokes! The Shine Lesby Aston Reese Hiroshi combination, man, it's crazy. It's so much fun. But we talked enough about them already. Before we do that, hold on. It's so much fun. Sebastian Cossa did get the start in this one. Stopped 27 of 29. Jesper Wallstedt did not get back-to-back starts, which was the first time in a while that I haven't seen them do that. They started Zane McIntyre. He stopped 25 of 29. Didn't have the best night there. He's been a thorn in the Griffin side in the past, though, so I was honestly nervous that he was going to steal this one, but no chance. Griffins outshoot Iowa 30-29. Close game there. Griffins go 0 for 4 on the power play. We're back to where we were before. Iowa went 1 for 6. So the penalty kill had another fantastic night. So we already talked about it. Let's talk about it. Let's dive into it. Elmer Soderblom's assist on Marco Kasper's goal. This was, I have no words, dude. It was so pretty. Like, that was the silkiest we've seen those silky mitts move in a long time. He went through 3 or 4 different guys and still got the puck over to Kasper. I swear it was almost a no-look pass, dropping it back to him, and Kasper buried it. And elite celebration from Kasper on the ice. Just, sits down as he runs into the boards. At the same time, man, what a goal.
What a goal. What a goal. What
an assist.
What an assist. What an assist. I really we were standing up because we were on the other side of the arena for that night. And as soon as we saw Elmer split 4 guys, I was like, all right, what's going to happen now? And all of a sudden we see Kasper just flying into the boards. And honestly, I thought it was Amadeus. I thought Amadeus finished it. And I was like, Ammo, my kid got it. And Maria's like, her player's Elmer. So I'm like, our kid's connected. And that was Marco Casper. I forgot that they had swapped the centers for this game. So but
For the
good for
past couple
Marco.
games, buddy.
Yeah, last couple games. So yeah, it was. I mean, for him to continue to just drive to the net like he's been doing all season, and now he's getting rewarded for it. Marco getting to that finish and keeping the stick down on the ice to be able to get it in. I mean, that was huge, and it brought him up to 11 goals now for the season. And Elmer's at 15 assists. I mean, this is good production from our young guys. Like, they're in the right roles and they're developing. Like I said on the last game, you put them in the right roles, they're going to develop. They're going to go. This is why you don't call people up sooner than later.
Yeah. I mean, this is why you don't rush prospects at all. I mean, you look at last season. Yes, Elmer only got 20 games with Grand Rapids last season. He had 8 points in those 20 games. He's at 52 games this year. He's at 24 points, 9 goals, 15 assists. And he's in the positive side of the plus minus, which is good, and less penalty minutes than last year still. So good. But his development's just looking better and better. Casper, man, like, I know everyone was begging for Detroit to call him up, and don't ruin a good thing right now. Like,
For us.
I'm not saying that just selfishly for Grand Rapids. Don't ruin a good thing for his development. Like, that's not what we want to do. I know he got a game. Like, I understand. Let it roll. Let's see what happens. And Elmer's catching up to him in points, man. Elmer at 24, Casper at 27. Elmer's cracked the top 10 in scoring on the team. And the top 10 in scoring is starting to look younger and younger every time, it looks like. Every time I refresh the stats after a game. It's crazy. So, yeah, that goal, that might be up there, top 5 goals of the season for Grand Rapids right there.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of like any other big ones that we've seen besides the Matt Luff one from a few weeks ago. Like that's got to
That
be
might still be
one
number
right
one.
now. Yeah, because I'm trying to figure out like a highlight reel for us for the off season, and I think like we might have to tag this one for later.
Yeah, I would agree. And then I said he's starting to look better and better. You go, maybe. But Cross Hannes gets his 7th of the season. I'm seeing more and more that I like from Cross right now. And I'm starting to see what we saw. Because remember, he didn't start the season last year blowing the doors down. It took a few games, but he's almost where he was for points last year. Last year had 17 points. This year he's at 13. He does have 15 more games right now than last season. But he hasn't consistently been in the lineup, right? He's been kind of all over the place. And that's been the struggle for him. But I look at the past few games. He's got 2 points in the last 3 games right now, and then there was a stretch where he wasn't playing, and then right before that, he had back-to-back games with points. So in the games that he's played, I mean, he's doing good. He's doing better. We're starting to see him get back to his usual self, and he's still buried on the 4th line. Like, he's not getting 3rd or 2nd line minutes, and that's where he was last year when he was starting to heat up. So he's starting to figure it out there. What I'm seeing, though, that I like is less mistakes with the puck, less defensive mistakes. I'm not seeing him on the bad side of turnovers that put us in a bad position like we saw at the beginning of the season. That was where I was really concerned with his game. 1, he couldn't hit the back of the net. He kept hitting the post of the crossbar. And 2, his turnovers were just ugly. They were bad. So that's what I mean when I say I'm seeing a better side of Cross Hannes.
I mean, I just think like every time he scores a goal, we're like, okay, this is going to launch him. And then he goes into a cold streak for 2-3 weeks, and then he's back up, and then it's a cold streak for 2-3 weeks. So it's just like I don't want to jump on the Cross Hannes train yet. Let's see what but you know what's going to happen? This is the typical thing for this guy. This is what's going to happen. We're going to go to the playoffs, and he's just going to go hot. He's going to light it up. He's going to score a goal a game. He's going to score the big goals. That's exactly what's going to happen with him. He's going to be the Johan Franzen of the playoffs.
I'm here for it.
I can so see it. I hate to say it, but that's probably what's going to happen.
I'm here for it if he does. I love that. I would love that. Another guy that's got to be talked about, Simon Edmondson, first game back after his injury. And my God, did he just want to break everything? Like, he comes out in the first period. I think it was his second shift after he got, used to things, and 3 big hits on that shift. End of that period, wires a shot at the buzzer, which if I'm a player, I'm firing that puck anytime it's on my stick like that. He's not looking up at the clock. There is no clock at that end of the arena either. So
Yeah.
Iowa players getting all mad at him for firing it. Shut up, you're dumb. But dude, that scrum at the end there, him just kind of giving guys the business, man, laughing in their face, giving them some good smelly gloves to the face, everything he needed to do there, and the crowd was loving it. All we saw was just that angry Swede and that maniacal laugh that he can do and that crazy face he has. But apparently he pissed off somebody in that because he did get an unsportsmanlike out of that. I don't know what he said and what he did, but he does like to hurt other people's feelings.
Yeah, it's when it happened because we're on the other end of the ice, and this shot goes, and I thought it went in. I
It
thought
did
that
go in, it just wasn't on time. It did.
oh
It found the back of the net.
oh okay because I didn't go back to watch highlights or replays of it because I mean the game kind of got out of hand after that. So for the score wise, so yeah, I thought it went in. I thought it counted, and then I thought I heard that it didn't count. It didn't go in, and there was just a scrum because they were mad that he shot it after the fact. But yeah, I mean, this was a big game. Simon came back, which is good because I had a feeling he was going to be out for a few games after that puck hit him in the leg. Like I just knew. So it was good to see him back out there. It wasn't anything serious. Just get some rest, get back up. And our little you said that there was an insider said 9 years old insider came out and said that he was going to play tonight. So that was good. Alleviated a little bit of stress and anxiety for us. And then to come out and like just be aggressive as heck. Like he wasn't going to let anybody know that he, had an injury, was out for a little bit, and causing chaos. I mean, usually you get it from Bergie, but Bergie's been in Detroit apparently, and so we get it from the other angry Swede. So
You wouldn't know Bergie's in Detroit, but yeah.
yeah.
Different story for later. Yeah, I mean, to come out and be that aggressive, get a point, be a +1, not have any of his Simon mistake stuff that we're like, oh God, here he is. Like that was just a really solid game. And I'm glad like everyone was like pissed he stayed out like Friday night. I'm just really glad they didn't rush it. Like he didn't look hurt, he didn't look slow, he looked like himself. I think if they would have put him in Friday night, it definitely would have been rushing things. That extra day, I think, put him in the perfect spot to come back. So I'm really glad they handled it that way.
Yeah. So good to see him back. Good to see him back early.
Yeah.
Just being crazy.
A guy again, we talked about him for the last game, but I got his honorable mention right here because I crapped on his performance at one point. Tyler Spezia, 2 assists in this game. So well done, Tyler. Thanks for making me eat my words. Appreciate that, man. Man, it's got to be talked about. Sebastian Cossa in this game. Kos was phenomenal in this game. He, especially in the third period, man, Iowa gave it everything they had. 15 shots in the third period on Kos.
That's more than they shot the entire game the night before.
Yep. He stood his ground. And for those that don't know, in his last 13 games, he has not lost a game in regulation. He is 8-0-5 in his last 13. The hockey that Sebastian Cossa is playing right now should have every Detroit Red Wings fan feeling some glimmer of hope in the goalie situation that this kid is the real deal. He's going to live up to the expectations that's set for him, and he's only getting better because everything you can call him out for, give it a few weeks and he slightly improves it and then continues to improve it. Like his movements are so calm. Even Travis said it because Travis is from Toledo. He got to watch him a ton in Toledo last year. And there were so many times where Kos would overcommit, overdo his slide to the left or the right, and he'd be out of the net. And he like at the end of the first period, he's like, he's so calm now. He's so calm and collected in net. And we're like, yep, this is what we've been watching since December 25th, man. Like this is a new goalie, it feels like, since the beginning of the season. And I mean, just look at this. The stats don't lie. He's playing out of his mind right now.
I mean, with Hutch got his shutout the other night, and I was looking at the stats today, just trying to compare. Me and Brad were talking about this during the break, but games are almost split even. 29 for Kos, 28 for Hutch. Goals against, 74 for Kos, 73 for Hutch. It's 1 goal difference there. Kos has got 1 shutout. Hutch got 2. So Hutch beats him a little bit there. Goals against average, Kosa's got 2.58, Hutch's got 2.69. Still very close. Wins, tied, 14. Losses, Kosa got 7, Hutchinson's got 10. Okay. Overtime losses, Kosa's got 8. Hutch has got 3.
It could be overtime or shootout.
Yeah, overtime or shootout. Which I was surprised because I feel like I want to look back at this for the shootout because Kosa was, I would say Kosa's better on the breakaway, but maybe not.
Most of those shootouts he lost, like it was only like the one goal that got past him. Like, yeah,
blame
it
the
was just
forwards
Grand
for
Rapids
that.
couldn't score.
Save percentage. I'm going to skip one stat. I'm going to come right back to it. Save percentage 0.911 for Kosa, 0.900 for Hutch. I mean, Hutch has been a goalie he's a veteran goaltender. He could, like the other podcast say, they could have signed Hutchinson instead of Reimer. He would have got the same thing up in Detroit. Like, not that on Hutch. That's where he's at. But the stat that blows my mind is saves. Kosa, 754. Hutchinson, 658. 96 shot difference. So Kosa's getting way more shots against. I don't know. Like, I mean, you go from a 14 game to 20. What did they have last night? What did they have Saturday? How many shots? You have it up? How many shots did Iowa have Saturday?
29.
29. So I mean, they doubled there, but like the team plays so differently between the two goalies. It has to be based off of 96 difference, 96 shots different. That's odd. That's weird. At least to me.
I mean, if you're playing that many more overtimes, it's probably not, honestly. And he did fill in for Hutch after one bad period, or after his bad periods against Belleville. He did play another full period over him. He does have one more game than him, actually. The more you say that, the more I'm like, it kind of checks out, honestly. If you got one more full game plus another period plus a bunch of overtimes, it checks out.
Five more overtime games. That's
a lot.
But I mean, overtime's only
We've seen
5
some of
minutes.
those where the Griffins give up 6, 7, 8 shots.
Yeah, that's
And I know that period against Belleville, I'd have to go back to the stat sheet, but I want to say it was like a 20-shot period.
Oh, all right.
So it does make sense with the playing time, but at the same time, the team does play differently in front of each goalie, but that's just how they have to play. I mean, you look at Kos and go, Simon Edmondson can't play the same defense in front of him as he does Hutch because he blocks his view a lot. It happens. So everyone plays differently in front of each other.
I mean, I feel calmer when Kosa's in net. Like, I feel like we're going to win when he's in net, though. And maybe the guys do too.
About him, man.
Like, they know he's going to steal the game or he's there to make the save. So they play a little bit looser. I don't know.
The stat I want to call out when it comes to Sebastian Kosa is that save percentage, right? It was .911. Yaroslav Askarov, .912.
For the season?
Yes.
And
he's having a lights out of his mind season.
Well, he was.
Oh, I mean, still is. That's the crazy part. But that's not even who he's compared to the most. Obviously, he's always compared to Wallstead because of being the same draft year. Askarov's a year more developed than him, and he's matching him. And Kos is ahead of Wallstead. Wallstead's save percentage .909. He's still ahead of him, and he's ahead of him in goals against average too. Where Askarov hasn't beat is goals against. Like Askarov's goals against is ridiculous. But other goaltenders that in save percentage wise that Kosa's in front of, Jet Greaves is a guy in Cleveland. He's an all-star goaltender. He's ahead of him. He's right behind, Chris Drieger in Coachella, who's played NHL games. And then you go to the goals against side of things, and he's in front of two guys, Spencer Knight and Jack Campbell. Like, those are two high-profile goalie names right there. And Jack Campbell's actually played only one less game than Kos, and still those numbers are the way they are. So his performance deserves to be recognized. It's absolutely insane right now.
In the beginning of the season, like, we were getting blown up too. Like, it was not great at the beginning of the season. And he's turning it around
If
since Christmas.
if he would have had the same team he has in front of him now, that's all gelled, they all figured themselves out, playing like they are now back then, he'd be in the top 5 in the league, man.
Oh, yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And same like Hutch would be top 5, but he'd be in the top 20 for sure for everything. I mean, he's so close for all those stats being in the top 20 in goalies in this league right now. It's just insane. The names he's up there with right now, like there's no way I can't see Coast not being an AHL All-Star goaltender next year as long as this development track stays on the same way it's going right now. That is where he'll end up.
I'm so excited for next season, and this season isn't even over yet. Like,
I know. We still have playoffs to come, and like
playoffs.
we're already excited for what next season will bring. It's crazy, man. It's crazy. And no, Detroit fans, he's not going to be in Detroit next season. I'm sorry to break your hearts. Do not want that. Do not cheer for that. Give him one more year.
Maybe 2. The ones
Well,
that
I mean, before we start talking about call-ups, like by year 3, you can start talking like, oh, hey, a guy's hurt. You can call him up.
the other thing Hutch does real well too is his passing. He's got an assist, so he's got a little bit of scoring touch.
You're always going to hold that assist over Kosa, aren't you?
Still nothing. Like, I mean, he
What
needs
I
to
think
shoot more.
we're going to see something else happen before Coast gets an assist or a goal, and it's going to be a freaking goalie fight.
Yeah, he's been feisty the last couple of days. I don't know
love
what
it.
is wrong. I have been too, though. So I don't
He
blame him.
protects his crease, man. He does not let anyone else get in there. But that moment in the Wild game where he gave a good shove to somebody, because his stick ended up getting pushed behind the net as I went back and watched this. Coast loses his stick, so he pushes the Iowa guy that knocked his stick out of his hands. Then he grabs another Iowa Wild player's stick and throws it towards center ice. He just tossed. I'm shocked he didn't get called for that. I'm shocked. But at the same time, it was good to see. He's just so aggressive and fun. And we've seen that before out of him. He'll jump out of the net and want to jump into a scrum or two. I mean, look what we saw against Belleville that one game. We thought the fight was coming then. We were 100% thinking this is the game. It's happening.
I would have lost my mind.
Dude, be on the lookout. He will have a goalie fight at some point in his career. I'm calling that now. And God, pray for the other goalie because he's a freak of nature when it comes to how athletic he is. So good luck to them. But any final thoughts from you, man, on this Griffins weekend?
I did bring in my belt bag. I wanted to test to see how many hot dogs would fit in there. It was 4 hot dogs. So and they did let you in with them. People were asking.
Yes, they did.
For science.
I'm glad they gave away them and then let people bring them in. Like that would have been just so stupid.
Oh, we had to know. So I've been wearing it. I've been rocking it. I don't care. I'm not embarrassed.
No one said you should be.
Yeah. No, it was good. It was a good time.
Well, what about takeaways from the play on the ice, not the belt bag?
The vibes are good. We needed so with all these losses with Detroit and with the Griffins went on a small slide, and like you see Milwaukee went on a big slide too. Like it's weird. Like everybody's losing right now. So for us to come out, finally get the 300th win for Wadi this week, that was huge. I'm glad that's off of our back. I feel like that was just like haunting us for a while, and then to win again on Saturday, like vibes were good. This week, I still think this week is a big week. We might be able to catch Milwaukee. Like, it's crazy to say that. So Milwaukee's at 77. Griffins are at 69. Rockford's at 63. Texas is at 61. Manitoba's at 54. Chicago's at 48, and Iowa's at 47. So, I mean, everybody's kind of kicking Iowa in the face. The Wolves are on a bad streak, 4 out of 5 in their last 10. Manitoba, who we played twice this week, has gone 8-2 in their last 10. So one that I'm a little bit nervous about. Texas, who I thought was a lock to finish with us, they were going to be third place, and we were going to start with them in the playoffs. They've went 4-6 in their last 10 and have dropped to 4th. So that makes me nervous because then we go up against Rockford, who's 9-1 in their last 10.
Yeah,
I don't want to play Rockford. I don't want to play Rockford
in the playoffs.
Well, I don't want to play them.
I mean, that's fair because they are on a streak right now themselves, like 9-1 in their last 10 leagues. That is insane. I mean, this is going to be a tough week. Like, this is a big week for us. The magic number of points we need to collect right now is 10. 10 more points to lock in that playoff spot. That's all we need to do, according to the playoff primer that came out today. And like you said, we've got 2 games against Manitoba. One of them is an 11:30 in the morning game for us, which is crazy. And then the 8 o'clock game on Wednesday. And then we at Rockford. All 3 of these are on the road, which we've been so much better at home lately. All 3 of these are on the road, so that scares me a little bit. And I mean, you got to highlight the fact that Thomas Milic, which was a goaltender we talked about for Manitoba before, was just AHL Player of the Week last week for his 3-0-0 record last week with a 1.30 goals against and a .953 save percentage. And I'm pretty sure one of those games, if not 2, were against Milwaukee. That's insane.
Yeah.
And Milwaukee, well, fortunately for us, they have not the easiest schedule coming up this week. They have 2 games on the road in Colorado against the Eagles back-to-back tomorrow and Wednesday. And then Saturday, Sunday, they have the Henderson Silver Knights at home. So that'll be very interesting to see because both of those teams aren't near the top of their divisions. Well, Colorado is. They're 3rd in theirs. Henderson's 8th in the Pacific. So that should be interesting. Milwaukee's pretty good at home. Those should be good games for them. But the Colorado ones will be definitely interesting. Maybe that team could do us a solid and do some damage there. That would be nice. It's weird, too, that Milwaukee, these 6 games they had, their last 2, they were in San Diego. Now they got Colorado and then Henderson. 6 games in a row out of division when we're just playing everybody in the division. So it's really weird how this is kind of working out towards the end of the season. I don't like that.
I mean, if they lose both games, like, and we win both against Manitoba, like that would
automatically put us, I think, 2 points away from a playoff spot going into the Rockford game on Saturday.
That's amazing. Like that's that close. That's why I'm like, these games are huge. I hate saying that every week, but like these games are really getting to the end. Like these are big ones. We could possibly pass Milwaukee.
Hey, most of our listeners are Detroit fans, dude. They know about every game matters, right? Sorry. I had to say that. I'm a Detroit fan. Don't worry, folks. I get it. It hurts. Yeah, this is crazy. This is gonna be a fun week, though. Like, one for us because we can cover them from home and take a break from being out so much. I needed that, but at the same time, they're going to be fun and exciting games. And if people don't remember, we've tormented Manitoba fans at home with some crazy comeback wins when the team wasn't good. So we'll see what happens here. But with that, I think that wraps up all the Griffin talk from the weekend. To end up the episode, we do have some questions from some of our listeners. We threw it out there today. Let's get some questions from the people after what happened this weekend, what the Griffins are looking like going forward. We wanted Griffin and Walleye questions specifically only. No Girl Scout cookie questions today. Sorry, Nick. I hate to disappoint you. But Randy threw us another 2-parter. Thank you, Randy. What's your guys' take on Vero? And we kind of hit this already in the episode, right? Like we think there's a lot of potential there. I think there's still a lot to unlock, and it's going to take more time. What's his ceiling? I honestly don't know at this point. I really don't. He continues to surprise me. I think there's potential for, could he make the NHL? Yeah, he definitely could. It's going to take a lot of time, but he could do it. Could he at some point be that veteran defenseman in the AHL that's holding down the top spot, kind of like, you think of a Lashoff was with Simon and stuff like that in the earlier days? Yeah, he can also fit that role at some point in time. That's my opinion on it. What about you?
I could see him being like an Olimata kind of player, just like a solid seventh maybe. But he's very aggressive. Like that's the thing that I like about him is like he's not afraid to get in the corner. He's not afraid to battle. That's what we like about Vero is like he's a battler. He goes after the pucks. He's not afraid to get dirty. He's good to going in there. And he gets the puck back. That's the major thing. If you're going into the battles, you got to win them. So we like that. I'm not keying in on him, but maybe I will tomorrow if he's playing. But because I'm going to be covering the game from home. But I don't see we're not seeing those mistakes where it's like when Simon does stuff where we're like, what are you doing? Like We don't see that. If you get that Simon like we've had the last two, like the last game, that's perfect. That's the Simon we want. So like Vero, he needs to continue to get more games. Once he gets more games, we can see more of him. He's developing. He's playing well. I think he could be more like that Albert Johansson, maybe. Like he was hitting some points before he got hurt, and then he's back into trying to battling into getting into a spot on the roster. So
Yeah, interesting guy to keep an eye out for sure. And Randy's second part to the question was, do the Walleye get bumped in the first round of the playoffs?
oh man.
Oh, thanks, Randy. Yes. Anyways, moving. It's hard to say. It's hard to say. Playoffs are a different beast. All that matters is they make it there, and they will. I mean, all signs point to that. They could be a different team then. Different guys will step up that you don't expect. What's important for the Walleye is the fact that Hawkins is still being Hawkins. Riley Sawchuk is playing out of his absolute mind right now for them, and Trenton Bliss and everybody else is still doing well for them. So if the other guys can pick up the pace too with them and continue the offense to make up for the defense, that I'll take that.
You forgot too. Bednar's playing really well too.
He is. I didn't want to go too much into detail. We have a Toledo Thursday segment coming up.
You mean a Fish Friday?
It'll end up being Fish Friday. You right. Right.
Yeah, we joke about Toledo with the first round because if you look at Pat Mikish's record in the playoffs, he's lost every other year in the first round. So that's why we joke about it off air. I don't think it's made it an episode, but
it's definitely made it. It's definitely made it into a few cuts.
I'm hoping that they make it to the second round or the third because that gives us more opportunity to go out to Toledo and watch a playoff game. And it's something I haven't done yet. Brandon hasn't done yet. And we'd like to be out there for that. So
yes.
With our crazy work schedules, it's hard enough to get out there. But
it'd be hard enough balancing the Griffins playoff schedule and theirs too. That's going to be the biggest challenge for us.
Yeah. Maybe they could play Cleveland or somewhere and then we just stay the weekend.
That wouldn't be till the finals, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe they play Kalamazoo and we just...
Dude, that would honestly... It wouldn't be ideal for them, but it'd be ideal for us.
They can exercise their demons in the first round with Kalamazoo. For both aspects there. Pat Mikish and the Toledo Walleye.
Oh, Lord. Yep. But yeah. Who knows? If we could predict it, we'd put money on it.
And you can at draft. No, I'm kidding. They don't go as far as the E, just the A.
Yeah, I know. Next question from Doug Thompson. After Edvinsson and Berggren, do you see any other Griffins making the Red Wings next year? And this is a tough one. Like, the potential for Albert Johansson to make it is there. The potential for Marco Kasper to make it is there. Do we think that they will? Probably not. I think Albert's the closest one, but there's a lot of contracts in the way. That's the part that's going to suck. But with the way that question's asked, yeah, those two come to the top of my mind for potential players there.
I mean, you could throw in maybe Carter Mazer. He would be the one to keep an eye on who might play 9 games with Detroit. I think that's kind of where we're at.
So aside from Berggren and Edvinsson, who has the potential to make the Detroit Red Wings next year?
I don't think anybody.
Wow.
I don't think anybody. I think to make it out of camp, it's play the whole season with.
Who has the potential to be on the opening night roster from Grand Rapids this season, next season in Detroit?
Nobody. Possibly Carter. I say possibly Carter, but that's it. I think everybody needs one more season. Like, Vollander probably needs a season and a half. Albert would be a backup call-up. Kasper needs one more year. Carter would be close. The reason
we're gaining nobody else in Detroit next year aside from the potential of Jonathan Berggren and Simon Edvinsson.
I don't think Bergie makes the roster next year. I don't think Bergie's on the roster next year. I don't think he's at the organization next year.
They will re-sign him. If he signs somewhere else, that team has to give up draft picks to sign him.
I think that's the play. you don't call him up and don't play him, and then you don't call him up and then put him on the fourth line. Like, that doesn't make sense for Berkey. He's a top 6 guy. That's where he's played last year. That's where he's been playing this year with Grand Rapids. He's a point per game player. That's where he needs to be. Everybody called for prospects to come up, and then what happened was he did a turnover, and everybody bagged him, like, piled on him. And I'm like, this is what you're getting. Like, these are prospects. They need time to learn. They need time to develop. Like, this is what you're getting. That's what everybody's calling for. And I'm like, okay, you got it. Now what? Now you're mad? Like, you can't win on it. So I think, like, you can't pull up a defenseman because unless there's trades made, you have to get rid of Hole, Petrie, Mata, and Hole. Or yeah, I already said Hole, but yeah. What do you think Albert and Simon are the next two? They're going to put 2 rookie defensemen up there?
I'm just answering the question of what potential Griffins could make it. You're diving way too deep into it. The question is basically, from what I'm gathering, Doug is asking, what are the prospects that they should be watching out for aside from those 2 to potentially make the roster? And it was nobody.
Yeah, nobody. I don't think anybody makes the for next year. I don't think anybody makes
I'm
the
shocked.
next year.
I'm shocked.
Besides Simon and Berkey.
I'll bookmark this for later. I'm shocked.
Who are you saying?
That is I already said. I think that 2 potential outside of the 2 that were listed, which is Berggren and Edmondson, the 2 potential Griffins that could make it there would be Marco Kasper or Albert Johansson. Those are definitely the 2 that would make it there. No. Outside of those 2.
I think the only one that has a slight chance would be Carter. That's it.
See, I disagree with that. I don't think Carter's ready.
That's fine.
Huh. I can't wait to come back to this at the beginning of the season next year. Thanks, Doug. Appreciate that. Next question from Ned Braden. Ned asked, how's Vollander look this season? He played a fairly decent amount in Rogel last year in the SHL. Curious about his usage and performance in GR. He's a sheltered defenseman on the third pairing who doesn't get utilized to his full potential because they're sheltering the crap out of him, which is the exact treatment Albert Johansson got last season. So here we are again. So Dan is not putting him in the position to fail,
which is good.
How has he looked? He's looked good. I like him. I like him a lot. I think there's a lot of potential there. His tool set is really good. His IQ for the game is also very good, but he's very raw still. So some time with him.
When I watched him last year during why he played for Rogel and all of like the highlights, his skating was fantastic. Just like how he played, how he protected the puck, his vision was very good. You don't really see that much here with him, and it's a little bit understandable because it's North American ice. It's smaller, it's quicker. He's not going to have the time like he did over at Rogel. So I'd like to see him have a little bit more confidence here. And I know he's playing that second, third line. I understand they're sheltering him. It's smart the way they're doing it, to be honest.
Yes.
It gives him that confidence. It gives him that time to like create the mistakes and learn from. I think he'll be fine. He'll be fine. So with Simon making the team next year, you're gonna get him moved up, and it'll be interesting to see who his partner is. Hopefully, it's Albert on my end. Who
it's a possibility?
I'm just saying that based off the last question. To give him that confidence there on that line to be able to be first line minutes. I don't know if he's ready there. I don't know if that's where he slots, but I'd like to see more of him there just to see what his potential really is.
I think you see next season a lot of what you saw for Albert this season, which is that second pairing there. Honestly, next season, if he's in Grand Rapids and not in Detroit, it would be Albert and Tuomisto on the top line for sure.
Yeah.
Here in Grand Rapids, and then Vollander and probably a veteran on the second pairing, and then you're looking at Vero and somebody else, depending on moves or whatever. But I mean, I like Vollander. I've seen a lot of good from him. There's a lot of potential. It does suck that I think Tuomisto has hopped him in the depth chart for sure this season, especially on the offensive side of things. I think I'd like to see a little more of that from Vollander. 52 games, 14 points in comparison to Amisto, 36 games, 13 points. So 1 point shy with significantly less games. And
But
I think
Tua
that just
played
comes
in North America, so his adjustment was a little bit easier.
correct. And I think that also comes from the feet. Like, again, when you're on that third pairing in this organization in the AHL, there's a lot of fear of making that mistake. So throwing the puck at the net, I think there's a lot of fear there for him where you look at Tuomisto and puck's on my stick. Oh, it's going to the net. Like, it's just how it is for that kid. So the tool, like I said, the tool set's there. The potential is definitely there. And he's going to be a really exciting player to watch next season. We like him a lot. But thank you guys for the questions. As always, we appreciate them. And keep an eye out on the Twitter page. We'll always ask for questions before episode recordings if we have the space to fit them in. And we always appreciate them. They usually generate some fun conversation and good debates that really make us look into the game a little more. We might seem like we're arguing with each other, but honestly, it kind of opens your eyes to talking about like the prospects in the pool and understanding it more. And the more we dive into it, the more we're going to be able to learn and be insightful to share things with you guys. So that's what makes it fun for us. But with that, do you have anything else you want to add this week, sir?
No. Nope. Ready for the Moose. Let's get these wins. Let's take them down.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe we'll see our other new defenseman, Radim Simic might join us by then. He's in Grand Rapids officially. We know that for sure. We still haven't seen him play yet. So hopefully we see him get some ice time here against Manitoba. I'd like to see what this guy is going to bring to the table for us. But yeah, outside of that, man, I got nothing else to add. You have nothing else to add. So let us wrap this thing up. So thank you all for tuning in to the Random Tuesday episode of the Hockey Town West podcast. Shout out to Everything Hockey for being a fantastic sponsor. Head over to everythinghockey.com. Use code WEST to get 10% off of your order. Shout out to DraftKings as well. Great sponsors that they are. Use code THPN when you're using DraftKings for the first time. And shout out to the Hockey Podcast Network for being fantastic partners to us. With that, everybody have a fantastic week. We will talk to you all on Friday this week, not Thursday. Friday. So go Griffs, go Wings, go Walleye, and we'll talk to you then.
Love you. Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Hockeytown West podcast. Be sure to check us out on Twitter at HockeytownWPod and your host, Nick at GR Hockey Guy and Brandon at Brandon GR Hockey.